Okay, so there's this peptide out there that has absolutely taken the biohacking and athletic worlds by storm. You hear it whispered about on forums, on podcasts. It's pitched as a key to almost supernatural healing. It's called BPC-157. So let's dive into this thing and try to separate the incredible hype from the cold, hard evidence.
And really, it all boils down to this one huge question. Could one single compound really be the secret to Wolverine-like recovery? I mean, it's such a powerful idea, and it's fueling this massive, unregulated market.
And look, the promise here? It's incredibly compelling. The claims, and these are backed by over 100 animal studies over the last 3 decades, suggest BPC-157 can do pretty much everything. Heal tendons, fix a leaky gut, regenerate nerves, slash inflammation. I mean, based on that, you'd think it's a miracle drug. But, and this is a big but, then you look at the human data.
And that's when you hit this number, fewer than 30. Think about that for a second. That is the total number of human subjects across every single published trial for BPC-157. And that one number creates this massive, glaring conflict between all the online hype and the actual scientific reality.
So, this massive difference leads us to what we have to call a glaring evidence gap. We're going to break down the numbers because they tell a really surprising and, frankly, a very concerning story about what we think we know versus what we actually know.
All right, let's start with this number, 3. That's it. As of early 2026, there are only 3 published human studies on BPC-157, period. For a compound with this much buzz, that number is, well, it's just astonishingly low.
And honestly, it gets even wilder. The largest, most important human trial was supposed to study 42 healthy volunteers, to establish basic safety. But in 2016, it was just canceled, mysteriously. Not a single piece of data was ever published, no explanation was ever given. Poof, gone.
And that leads us to the most important number of all, 0. There are 0, none, zilch, randomized placebo-controlled trials in humans. We're talking about the gold standard of medical research. It's the only way to know for sure if something truly works or if it's just a placebo effect. And for BPC-157, that evidence simply does not exist.
That canceled trial from 2015 is like the central mystery in this whole story. It was supposed to give us the absolute basics, safety, dosage information, the kind of stuff you need before you can do any other real research. Its cancellation left this huge void that, to this day, has never been filled.
And look, don't just take my word for it. This quote really sums up what the medical community thinks. A 2025 review in the American Journal of Sports Medicine put it as bluntly as you can. Despite its popularity and the fact you can get it everywhere online, there is minimal human data available.
Okay, so what do we have? Let's be fair and actually look at those 3 human studies that do exist. Are they offering us some real glimmers of hope, or is the evidence just, well, too flawed to really trust?
So, study number 1 from 2021 looked at knee pain. And on the surface, the results look great. Almost 88% of patients said they had significant relief. But then you look at the flaws. No control group? That means you have no idea if a sugar pill would have done the same thing. The results were only based on what patients said they felt. And it was a retrospective review, which is a very, very weak form of evidence. Now, the second study from 2024 is maybe the most promising one. It looked at this really painful bladder condition, and an incredible 10 out of 12 women had their symptoms completely go away. But, and you knew there was a but coming, the same old problems popped right back up. No control group, a tiny sample size, and a really short follow-up period. So is it a promising signal? Yes. Is it proof? Absolutely not.
In the last study, from 2025, this one looked at the safety of giving BPC-157 through an IV. The good news? It was well tolerated. The bad news? The study involved, wait for it, 2 people. 2? I mean, a sample size that small can't tell you anything meaningful about long-term safety. It just can't. Okay, so with evidence this shaky, you're probably wondering, why are the big agencies suddenly cracking down on this stuff? Well, that brings us to the regulatory reality, because there are some very serious concerns driving these decisions.
Well, just look at the timeline. It shows a pretty clear pattern. In 2022, the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, banned it for all athletes, put it right on the unapproved substances list. Then, just a year later, the US FDA followed suit, placing it in a special category that restricts pharmacies from legally making it for people.
So, why did the FDA do that? Well, their reasoning was pretty clear. First off, there's just not enough safety data. Obvious, right? Second, they're worried it could actually trigger your immune system in a bad way. And third, and this is a big one, there are major risks from impurities that can show up when this stuff is made in unregulated labs.
And that sourcing risk is, frankly, massive. Just look at this table. On one hand, you have a regulated pharmacy. You get FDA oversight, required testing for purity, for sterility. On the other hand, you have the gray market online sources. You get none of that. No oversight, no guaranteed purity, and a totally unknown risk of contamination. You really have no idea what you're actually injecting into your body.
Okay, let's bring it all together. What's the verdict here? We're weighing this immense, exciting promise against, well, an almost total lack of proof. It's that classic battle between what we hope is true and what we actually know is true.
So here's the bottom line, the state of play in 2026. What we know is this. BPC-157 seems to work wonders in rats and other animals, and 3 tiny human studies showed some positive signals with no immediate bad side effects. But the list of what we don't know? Oh, it's way, way longer. We don't know about long-term safety, the right dosage, how it interacts with other drugs, and most importantly, we don't know if it even works in humans for all the things people are using it for.
And all of that leaves us right here with one final, critical question. Is BPC-157 a truly revolutionary leap forward in healing? Or are the thousands of people using it right now just volunteers in a giant, uncontrolled global experiment, a dangerous game of bioroulette? For now, the answer remains locked away in the clinical trials that have yet to be done.